Hey everyone, hope you're doing okay. I'm Blogger the Hut, and this is every new vehicle and vessel that's been introduced in the Acolyte Season 1. First we have this rather swanky looking single-seater land speeder design, and then another land speeder that unfortunately gets carjacked, slightly more angular design with the twin-seat model that May uses as her escape vehicle. Then we have these strange looking vehicles, this little round one you can see at the bottom there, and again in the dark here as it's going through. They're very small vehicles. You can see it just about in the fog on Kofar. Must be for small beings. I almost thought they were droids, but there does seem to be a window at the front. And then another model here, this kind of more slanted front. Again, just really kind of weird design. Again, another one in the fog on Kofar, but really hard to tell what they are. Then this thing, I can't even tell it's a vehicle, to be honest. Then we have the Jedi speeder bike. I really like this design. I think it's just really kind of sleek and cool. And I like the fact that it's all like packaged in with the Poland transports, like it's meant to be part of the same package, like the manufacturer just built everything in one to go with this Jedi exploration ship. Like the detailing on the engine there of the Kelnocker working on it. Just like the big fins and the antenna on the back as well, just kind of giving the idea that it's a long range vehicle. And then we get to see a little bit of it in action as it's zooming across the forest. I couldn't figure out at first, but just how far at the front the rider sits, and obviously all that stuff at the back is kind of, I guess, cargo storage. Starting with starships, we have the Exile 2, which is May's ship. We mostly see this thing parked at the beginning of the series, but eventually we do get to see it fly around in the later episodes, and I do think it has a really, really cool design. I love the kind of the twin beam design with the double cockpit, with Osha being able to take control of the cockpit from one side. I think that's a really cool feature. I do like the angular design of it as well, and the sort of panels at the back and at the sort of struts at the bottom kind of remind me a little bit of TIE fighter wings, so I think that's maybe sort of again, an indication that this is kind of a bad guy ship. Then next up is this WD-2550 wider class yield conveyor, this Trade Federation ship. Really like this big sort of curved design, kind of had a bit of a prequel-y feel to it, which fits with them being the Trade Federation, and a nice sort of bridging step between the larger cruiser ships that we have in the prequel trilogy. Then very, very briefly, the Vector-class starfighter first introduced in the High Republic books, though this is a different model. Then docking from the conveyor, we have the Palwick, a DTE CSA 17 Caliboost prison ship. Mixed feelings on this one. It just seems too kind of cool, cruisery to be a prison ship. You know, I much prefer the kind of boxy design we had in The Mandalorian. This just feels a bit too kind of Han Solo to be a real design, but still a very cool ship, but it just doesn't seem to quite fit the design it was made for. Then in the background of this shot on the Jedi Temple, we have a small transport which looks possibly like a Utilipede, which would make it the longest serving transport in Star Wars. Then we have the Poland 717 Jedi transports. We know this kind of design was manufactured exclusively for the Jedi Order. We see a few shots of it here in hyperspace, and we do learn a little bit about it, how it's got this separate hyperdrive module that doesn't come down to the planet but stays in orbit. We see a few different shots of it landing and taking off. I do like the kind of blade design of the landing gear at the front there. A few more shots of it on the planet where we get to see it quite clearly. Kind of the big engines and the wings, and I do like how everything on board has the kind of red stripe, kind of indicating that it's kind of purpose built, that all the equipment, all the transport, everything is all part of it. It's all like everything the Jedi need for a mission is all on this ship. Then we see some more shots of it detaching from its hyperspace module as it comes into land on Kofar. Again, that landing gear retracting, and then we see how it docks in with the hyperspace module as it gets into position and then slides back in. Next we have Kelnocker's ship. We don't really see much detail of it because it's just pretty much embedded into a tree. And then we have Venestra's ship, a VKCE 7100X star cutter. So this is listed as an experimental design that has a built-in hyperdrive, unlike the Poland, as we see it jetting across hyperspace there. Some kind of similarities with the Poland, like the bladed landing gear at the front, but obviously it's a bit fancier with a bit of more splayed out design, but very, very cool. And in the background of the shot where it's taking off, we see this smaller transport. Kind of reminded me of the Star Tours transport, though it is definitely a different model. And then we have this little patrol craft which comes out of the Poland. At first I thought it was a bit over the top for like an escape pod type thing, but actually it does kind of make sense, as this Poland seems to be like an all-in-one ship. It's got the speeder bikes, it's got the temporary stations, so it kind of makes sense that you might want to have a pretty nimble ship for someone to either fly kind of air surveillance or cover, or possibly even a bit of dogfighting as part of a team. So it does kind of fit in with the kind of like all-in-one theme of the Poland, and this sort of chase through the rings of the planet was a pretty cool sequence as well. And finally, my favourite category of starships is random Coruscant background ships, which we see a few of in these shots, though they're pretty much all too small to make out. Well guys, that is it for the Acolyte. Thank you very much for watching. I do have some more Acolyte videos coming out, and I'll be covering Skeleton Crew whenever that arrives. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, do feel free to like and subscribe. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and may the Force be with you.